Good morning all. Today we will be starting with the GitLab and how to integrate the basically GitLab's code review process with Jenkins. So let me share my screen. So today's session would be more kind of a hands-on rather than a theory part. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, so prerequisites, so definitely you must be having now Jenkins, that GitLab plugin installed, GitLab account, and a project already created. So this is what we will be trying to integrate today. So GitLab has a process where we can raise a merge request. So merge requests, this is a process of asking your reviewers to review your code. So somebody if I am doing or developing a code, so developing a feature, so I create a feature request, a feature branch, and then I create a merge request. So that merge request basically should trigger our complete CI pipeline, and that status should be sent back to GitLab so that GitLab can allow to merge that feature or whatever development branch you have into the target branch. And if there are certain issues like code coverage is not okay, or code is not compiling, or maybe like whatever processes or steps you have added in CI, if any of those steps fails, then this branch cannot be merged into the target branch. So this whole process will stop incorrect code getting merged into the development of target branch. So for integrating GitLab, so we need to create an access token. We will see how it works. Okay. So some of these slides from this presentation, they are from the GitLab installed on local machine. So there you have more administrative control rather than like SaaS based or whatever is available on internet. So this will we will see. Okay. GitLab connection you have to create. So basically these all tokens which we created here, they were for creating a connection so that the Jenkins can connect to GitLab. Then we have to configure our source code management part in our Jenkins. So we just give the repository name there. We can specify other parameters. So in this particular case, what happens when a request comes from GitLab to Jenkins, which branch is under review and what is the target branch? So all those parameters, they are automatically filled by GitLab. So these are available to Jenkins as variables. Like in this case, if you see, dollar GitLab source branch is the variable which gives us what is the branch under review. Okay. Then this part we explored in earlier session also. Then from GitLab there is a webhook which is exposed by Jenkins. So we have to enable this webhook, and we have to generate this secret. So this would be used by GitLab to call our webhook. Okay. Then here you can specify on which events our Jenkins pipeline should be triggered. Should it be triggered for every push which we do on a branch, or should it be done on open merge request, or should it be done on when a merge request completes, or similarly, like you have other parameters to choose. Then there are certain cases like you are developing a work in progress merge request. But you are not supposed to, the, your feature will not finish very soon, but still you want to send it for review. Your intention is to not to merge it with the target branch. So in that case, you can choose this option where you can ignore the work in progress. WIP is work in progress merge request. Similarly, like if you want some of your branches not to be covered under the pipeline, in that case you can enable this one. So anything which has a CI skip uh, text or this particular markup would be skipped from pipeline execution. So there are other options also. Okay. So you can specify what should be sent back to the GitLab when a pipeline is in progress. So you can choose options which suits you. And similarly, like we discussed last time also, these are the multiple options. Whether there are two ways whether to have a filters on the GitLab side, or you can also put filters on the Jenkins side, so that you allow only a particular branch to be covered as a part of Jenkins itself. So that you may have a multiple pipeline. So it may be possible like for development you want this pipeline to happen to be triggered. In that case, you can put you can choose one of these options. So you can do filter branch by name. Okay, so in that case only a developed branch would be able to trigger this Jenkins, and for others, all those webhook requests would be just ignored. They would be just dropped. So you can also put filters based upon your requirement. Okay. Then in this case, what happens like whenever pipeline finishes, uh, Jenkins has to send a notification back to GitLab whether the merge was successful or did it fail, those kind of things, so that GitLab can take appropriate actions. So these are the post build actions which will help in achieving those things. So you can specify here whenever this particular webhook or pipeline is triggered, what should be shown on the uh, GitLab. Okay, so whenever this pipeline is running, this would be shown as a GitLab CI pipeline, and even when it passes successful or fail, this would be shown in the GitLab. And if you want to show a particular custom message on GitLab, you can mention it whenever it fails or passes. uh, so basically, there is also one more option to accept GitLab merge request on uh, success. So basically, this one, once the success is done, success status is sent from the pipeline. So you have to basically enable this particular option on the GitLab, so that your merge request only is accepted when pipeline is successful. So we will see these things in action, but just want to uh, create a story so that we know what we will be doing going forward. So this is how we can define the webhooks on GitLab. So this is what we tried last time also. So this has to be a publicly accessible uh, IP address in case you are using the internet hosted, or basically if you are using the GitLab public service. And if you have your own installation of GitLab in your own organization's network, then obviously it has to be accessible over your private network. So here also, like, this is a secret token which we generated in Jenkins. Then these are the different triggers which should uh, basically call this web API webhook of Jenkins. So you can choose based upon your requirements. So if somebody asks you like uh, for every push request on a particular branch, your pipeline should trigger. So same thing can be achieved when we select this option, and on a particular branch, if it has to be done, then we can specify this particular branch name also. Okay. So there are multiple other options, like if somebody adds a comment, okay, somebody pushes a tag. For example, if you have a release branch, and if somebody puts or maybe DevOps engineer itself pushes a tag like this is a candidate for release candidate field. So in that case, we want like whole build should be deployed and tested end to end using your pipeline. So in that case, you can choose this tag push event, and the whole build would be deployed and tested. Result would be shown. So in that case, merge this particular option of like accept GitLab merge might not be applicable, but still your pipeline succeeds, and that success status would be shown on the GitLab also. So basically, you can use a GitLab as a dashboard for all the pipelines, all the merge requests, whether they got success or they got failed. So similarly, like there are other things, but we are more interested in merge request events, because today we are discussing about the uh, code review process. Okay, so this is what I was explaining earlier. Like this is the merge request configuration on the GitLab. So here we can choose how the merge request should be handled. So if you see, if this option is selected, only then uh, the merge request would be merged if pipeline succeeds. Okay. If this option is not selected, then anybody would be allowed to merge the merge request to the target. Okay. This second option is for like assume a case somebody asks like, please review my code. So if somebody reviews a code, then the reviewer will give comments. Those may be the code review comments. Those may be the comments on the implementation of design. So there might be a discussion happening on those reviews. Okay, so those discussions or reviews can happen using the merge request. Okay. So if we choose this option, then this merge can only happen if all those discussions or all reviews are closed or resolved. Okay. So there's also an option like an automatically resolve merge request if discussions become outdated. So normally, like this last third option is good because until unless if some concerns are raised on a particular code, they should be resolved. Okay. Then show link to create or view merge request when publishing from command. So these last option can be chosen or can be ignored. It doesn't make sense. Okay. This is the overall story for today. So, mm, let's go back to the instance in the power. So this is the instance which we used last time. So let's see what is the status of our Jenkins. Okay, so now coming back to the Jenkins instance. Okay, so we don't have a Jenkins on this particular instance. So in brief here, what you should try to do, you should try to open only one instance, like at one particular time you should have one instance running. So it will save your uh, basically your 750 hours a month. You should be able to be within that limit of free period. Otherwise, sometimes we just keep things running and we just forget it, and that 750 hours limit is easily reached, and then they start charging us. Or otherwise, the best practice is that if you don't need, then you can just stop your instance and start only when you need it. Because starting and stopping these instances take very less time. And, uh, okay, so this is the Amazon language. Okay. Is it Ubuntu? If it is Ubuntu, then it's the same. Let's see. Java minus job, then it's anything background. Okay, let's see what is the public IP address. And then if you think, so this is what we created last time. So this is the GitHub repository. We can also do the same thing with GitHub, but uh, since most of the organizations they either use GitLab because GitLab has a community edition which is free to use, and they generally deploy on their local network and use it for source code management. GitHub is also there. It also has a very big feature set, but many of the mid-size or big-size organizations they have their own GitLab setup. So we did something last time. So we created Git we triggered this build from GitLab. But so this was the project which we created. This you can download it. We were trying to. So these things are all new files. These are committed. So let's get ready to commit. Git commit. Git my stage. Okay. See the Git status. So all things are committed. Then try to push it. That account. Check what is the account. Oh, sorry. Account is not verified. Let me just verify again. Just let me verify this account. I created this account. So I did not verify this GitLab account. This is Hmm? So let's create a new project here. Function for you. You can make it public or private, but let's make it private for now. So this is the concept. Need to see how we need to clone it locally. So let's create another. And then execute this command there. Gmail.com. Okay. So let me check properly the account which I created there was there. GitLab. So, I created some of the copy these files to the newly created project. So I copied these files from the old project. Which this is the link from which we created this file. Uh, this is already existing project on a GitHub which has a maven as well as Jenkins. So we are just reusing it. We are copying this code into our local file system, and then we will set it, this code into our GitLab repository. And that GitLab repository we will use it as a base. So here we have everything. So now let's see with the status. So these are the files. Let's add all those files. See the status. These have been added. Let's commit these files. So these are all committed. See, nothing is in stage area. Okay. Now push it. Okay, so these all files have been pushed it. Pushed it up. Here. Now let's see if we get these files here. Okay, good. So now we got all these files here. Okay. Now let's come back to here. Now let's modify this. Okay. So this is a repository, but since this repository uh, has a username and password, so what we need to do, we need to add credentials. Okay, since we will be accessing it by username and password. Let's define it here. So just give us some name. So that in case if there are multiple entries, you should be able to identify those things. So ID cannot have blanks. Let's add it here. Okay. Now choose those credentials, okay, and let's see if our existing pipeline also still works with the new repository. Is it able to pull code from? Yes. Now it is pulling the code from GitLab instead of GitHub. So first step is okay. Now we have been able to uh, push our changes to our liquid repository, and from that we have been able to now pull the code and compile it. Okay. Now coming back to the steps. So let's go back to the slide. What we need. Okay. So we need this part access token. So this is required. Uh, Not exactly required now. Let's see. We will do it later on. Mhm. Okay, let's do this part first. Okay. So first we need to create a merge request. So let's see how we create a merge request. So this is the code. Okay. Uh, let's create a branch here. So we can create branch locally as well as remotely. But, let's create a branch here. Let's say it is a feature just okay. So let's assume like we are creating this branch from master, but there are other certain branching strategies which we will discuss later on. But just for simplicity, this code is there in the master. We will create this branch from master and merge it back to the master itself. Okay, so this is the branch. Let's copy this branch. And coming to here, this full. Let's so now we have a pull. So we have on this branch. So check out this particular branch. Check out. So we are on this particular branch. Uh, let's change something. So let's change readme type. Okay. Let's add hello demo class. see that with status. So this is the modified file. Let's add it. You can add a file by name or just this one. Let's see this file. This unit will come in. We are doing it for referring merge request. Okay. Then we will do git push. So we have to put change to this one. We can proceed here. Okay, now here we create a merge request. Okay, so we can create a merge request, give a title and description. But before that, what we will do, we have to do some other rework. Okay. So just give me a second, I will be back. 2 minutes. So now, we before moving to the merge request. So now let's go back to the story which we just started. So now we have a GitLab, we have a Jenkins. On a Jenkins side, we have a pipeline which does all the things which we want. So basically, it does the CI part, continuous integration. So we have tested it with the these manually figuring it. So where it takes the repository and it, by default it takes a master branch. Okay, and then does all the things. And we have also configured the this webhook address. We have also configured this webhook, and let's generate the secret also. Let's be generated. So now coming back to the GitLab. Okay, so in GitLab, first we have to configure our. So please go to the CI part. We have to configure our webhooks. So webhooks here. Let's see if we have so let's make this Jenkins webhook address. Copy this secret token. Okay. And just choose the merge request series. Okay. We have to disable the SSL because our Jenkins is not using SSL. It's just a normal thing. So this is now set. So just like last time we did the testing, so we can test it again. Just trigger merge request. Okay, since we don't have any merge request, so it could not pick that. So, but let's move this. Let's do the things complete end to end. Okay. So from here, things are all done. Like we have configured the table part. Okay, then let's go to the merge request part here, which is the integration. Oh, sorry, not integration. So here, so let's choose this one. pipeline must succeed. Okay. If there are certain pipelines which we have skipped, should those be considered successful? Let's not discuss this one. Let's not use this one. Here, choose this one. All the discussions must be resolved. Okay. So these are the things which we need to do for enabling merge request response. Okay. Now coming back to here. Now this branch cannot be a master because when we are doing a merge request merge request of code review is done on a temporary branches. So these are the feature branches. They are not persistent, and everybody creates their own feature branch. And because these are merged, they are dispersed. So it cannot be a fixed, correct? So it has to be basically a variable which would be filled by GitLab. So this is this one. So let's copy this. So origin you can add, that is not a mandatory, but if there are multiple branches, then it helps in resolving those So now we have, so whenever merge request comes from merge request triggers the webhook, the GitLab will populate some of the variables in the Jenkins. Basically, what happens when this merge request comes, I will show you one example. Okay, before that, let's create a merge request, and then I will show you how how this variable is filled and how this Jenkins gets this variable filled in. So let's from configuration perspective, all things are done. Let's create a merge request. Okay. Let's give some full name. The name for okay. You can give any value here, description for your merge request. So these merge requests, they are generally raised by the developers. So these has to be assigned to someone, so who will do the code review. So if there are certain other users in your organizations or like in your project, their name will come, so you can assign them. But for time being, I am just giving it myself. Okay. Then submit the merge request. Okay. So if I see merge request has been triggered, okay, and let's see something was triggered out there. Not justified. So basically, GitLab also has its own built-in mechanism for CI/CD, but we are not using that. Okay, so that's why it's saying like it does not have any pipeline defined. So that is okay. So we can leave it here. Let's see why it was not a pipeline. Not good. So we will see. But if you see here, approval and this approval can be done by the reviewer, since I was the one who raised the merge request as well as I was assigned this one, so I can approve it. But this merge is not enabled yet because this pipeline has not successfully done, correct? So that's why you still getting this button disabled. So you see here, how do we debug it now? Okay, so that is the question. So let's see it from the Jenkins perspective. Okay, so in Jenkins, if we go to the manage Jenkins, okay, and go to the system logs. System logs. Here you will see if that merge request did it trigger some webhook or not? So you see, nothing was triggered. Okay? So that did not work. So why did not work? Let's see now. See, GitLab, did it trigger it correctly or not? Okay. We can do a test here also now. Merge request. Okay. Hook execution failed. Okay. Why did it fail? Let's review our web once again. So this is using port 8080. Okay, so we have enabled port 8080. It should be accessible. So this is how you can see just now. So see why did it fail? That's right. So this is what I was trying to explain. So whenever a webhook is called by GitLab, it creates a JSON. Okay, so it's basically calls a REST API, and in its body it fills all these kind of details. If you see here, so you will see the username, username and name, email, correct? What kind of a request it is, and it will also fill in the merge ID, merge status, and similarly there should be the branch name also. So if you see here, there should be this is the URL of your repository. Let me search. Yeah, this is the source branch. Okay, this is the source branch which we were trying to use in GitLab. Okay, so these are the different parameters which are sent by the GitLab to the Jenkins, and Jenkins then map it to the different variables, and those variables we were just using in our code. You see, configure. This is the variable which we were accessing, and this maps to this particular branch name. Okay, here. Okay, this is the source branch, and this is the target branch. So these all parameters, they are also available to GitLab. Okay, so now coming to the okay, so we were just trying to debug what was the what function happened. Execution expired. Let's see, is this URL accessible? So now there is a connectivity issue. So this is all what we have to do. Okay, so let's configure one more thing which is left, is the how do we send a notification back to the GitLab. So for that we have to configure the GitLab connection. Okay, so just name it and DevOps. GitLab hosting. Let me just do some things there. Hosting here. This is what access token will be generated we will use it. So just showing the GitLab. So now we need to create a API token for GitLab access. So how do we do it? So where it will be? Not here. Repository. User access token. So this is what we want. We want the deploy tokens. So it depends, like what kind of a GitLab installation it is. So that based upon that you can get the access token. So here also you can. So if you see here, okay, so in this GitLab.com version, you don't have this thing, but you can generate the access token from here also. Okay. So let's you can mark it also, like when you want it to be expired. So let's say it expires on next year. So what kind of a scope access you want to give it? So should it be able to call APIs of other projects? Should it be a read user? Should it be a read API? Should it have a read repository? So we will choose a read repository because basically GitLab is supposed to read the repository, but it should not be able to write repository. Okay. Since we are not having a registry for containers, so it's not needed. So, okay. So this is the access token. So you just need to copy it. Otherwise, if you don't copy it, then you won't be able to get it back. So now create another credential here. Change the type. Let's say it's API token. Give it a value. GitLab access token. GitLab access token. Add it. And then test the connection. Okay. So what is the error? Okay, so we have not chosen the access. Okay. Let's take the test connection. Okay, so 403 is the forbidden. Okay. Is it DevOpsGuru? Switch. Apply. Selection. 403. Okay. What is the issue here now? This is also not copied. Okay, so let's come back to this little later. This is all we have done. So we have okay, so in pipeline, one thing is left. Once build is successful, we should be able to send back the response to the GitLab. That is what we have not yet done. So let's send back this one. Okay. So once this is sent, so like once this pipeline is done successful, GitLab response will be sent. And we can also send the notifications for the success rate. So this is a node which you can send will fail or fast. Okay, so you can send a custom message on if something is successful. Say for example, build is successful. Use merge the on failure. MR is fail. Please read the code. So these things we can configure. So okay, so I just changed the position. There was some disturbance. So okay, so now the we have okay, now we have configured everything. So now let's try to resolve the issues which we just faced. Okay. So just going back to the our script, let's see if we have done everything. So now we have configured the GitLab. We have triggered triggers for the pipeline using the webhooks. Okay. Status we have also configured. Now Jenkins can send the status back. Okay. Now we have also integrated the merge request with the GitLab. Okay. So any merge request created will trigger the GitLab, which would further trigger our pipeline. Okay. So notifications we have also configured. Whenever a notification comes from Jenkins that pipeline is successful, only then this merge request should be successful. This merge request should be allowed to merge. So that is also we have configured. Okay. So we have also created this personal access token. Okay. Okay, fine. Then we have also created or basically used this personal token in our Jenkins credential provider, and we have configured this in our Jenkins configuration so that this whole connection would be used for sending response back to the GitLab from Jenkins. Okay, this is we also have configured. Okay, this one we have also configured. Okay, custom post messages we also configured. Webhooks we have also configured for merge request. Then this one we have also done, merge request should be allowed only when pipeline is successful. Okay. Okay. So configuration wise, we have done everything. Now the issue is we are not able to okay. So there is already a one Jenkins access token already exists. Let's remove it so that we have only one in the system. So this is the Lead repository. Okay. Now let's check back again. Let's check the connectivity. Okay, so this is my EC2 instance got reset properly, so I need to run the Jenkins again. Since this is a 1 GB system, so this kind of issues you might see very frequently. So because of low RAM, Jenkins might or the whole EC2 instance might restart, or just the Jenkins might just shut down. Okay, now let's try to see the connection issue. So this is the Jenkins URL, so you already know it, but just in case if you're using something else, then you can use it. This is client error 03. Is it the token not correct? Let's see. You can use so this is the one problem, and the other problem was we were not able to call the webhooks. This is our project. Things already merged request. Okay. Merge request to okay, for merge request, one more thing which we okay. So basically, merge request you can also see how the what changes have been done, or like those kind of things. So plus this green and plus means this code has been added, and if it was red with minus, then that means this check-in in this as a part of this check-in some code has been removed. So if let's come back to the merge request, and for example person X raised a merge request and assigned it to me. So I have to review this change. So what I will do, so I will go to this merge request and the changes. Here I can see what has been changed. So what I can give a comment here. Okay. Remove extra blank line. Okay, so this is how code review starts. Okay, so now since this code review has been started, even though pipeline succeeds, pipeline will not be merged. Okay, so if you see here, there are two conditions: the pipeline has to be successful, as well as these comments have to be successfully disposed of. So since I was my own I raised this merge request and myself raising and reviewing this code review, so I can do the other things, like I can give another what you can say comment on the top of this comment that this blank line is intentional. Okay, so you can just keep on discussing this whole thread or whole thing, then you can the person who is maintainer or person who has been assigned this merge request can resolve this thread. So now this whole discussion has been closed. Okay, now if the pipeline is successful, then you should be able to see this merge request button enabled. But let's see why it is not working today. Last time it was all working, but somehow merge request, what is the issue? Let's create another merge request. Okay, let's configure new webhook where we will just configure the git push commands. So copy this webhook address, configure new webhook. Okay, copy the secret. You can generate a new secret also, that is okay, but push event, fine, add webhook. Okay, now you should see two webhooks. This is on push events and this is on the merge request events. Okay, let's test it with the push. Okay, and see if it is trigger. No. Okay, execution failed. Execution expired. Let's see why did it fail. So this request is somehow is not going to the let's see what is the instance IP address. Is it changed of 52.66? This is okay. Okay, this IP address has changed, so that's why this is not working. So that's so that's why in this case we should use the elastic IP address, but using an elastic IP address always has a risk of, like, if it is not in use, then that becomes a chargeable item. So let's change the IP address, save changes, and let's push it, test the push it. Let's see. Yeah, now we are getting the clear. So similarly, now we will modify this one. Okay, let's change the IP address here. Save changes. Okay. Now what we do, let's come back to the merge request. Okay, so now let's assume like there was some other comment which needs some code change. Okay, so let's come to the changes, and some other like let's assume there was some another reviewer, he just gave a comment, correct indentation. Okay, so indentation for this one has to be corrected. So what the developer will do, developer will go to the code, which is this is the local repository. Okay, and say he and something like this. Okay, this is what the code change was. Then he will add this file, he will commit with comment modified indentation. Okay, then he will do the git push so that local changes are pushed to remote repository. Okay, so now what will happen, if you see here, changes are done. Okay, you can see changes here, and now see this change is now triggered. So what happened, like once a merge request is created, okay, so any subsequent changes done to this merge request against any code review comment or like self review comment, they trigger the pipeline. So if we see here, this whole comment was disposed of. So basically reviewers added some extra code or some like did some correction for code review, and as soon as he pushed the code to this merge request, it triggered it triggered this pipeline. So okay, so now if we go and see the pipeline here, see this one is the last comment which happened, but I think there is still a issue because pipeline was successful. Okay, so pipeline successfully executed, but at the end pipeline was not able to send the status back to the GitLab because that we have that connectivity issue. Like in Jenkins pipeline, we are not able to integrate the this GitLab itself. So this status is still pending. So it is still checking the status of the pipeline. So that's why this button is still not enabled. So if we see here, we can see the what would be the general issues, but this help is written from the perspective of a CI/CD pipeline which has been configured as a part of GitLab's own CI/CD framework. So I don't think we will get much help from here, but let's try to debug this issue also. Why Jenkins is not able to send response? So for just for debugging, we can just again go to the manage Jenkins, go to the system logs, check the logs. Okay, so webhook was called, okay, with this URL. Okay, but here if we see, we don't see any log which says like our pipeline try to push or try to send any status. Okay, so now what we can do, so let's go back to the pipeline and check did we configure, did we send the notification correctly. Okay, so just go to the post build action. Okay, so it is configured correctly. Let's do this one. Look, this should not be an issue, but we can add a note, and this one seems to be okay. I don't think there is an issue with this one, but see, the pipeline was successful. Now the okay, sorry. One more thing which we missed to configure here in this project was that this GitLab connection. Okay, so though it automatically got populated because we had only one GitLab connection, but it might be possible like if you have a multiple GitLab connections, like generally it will not happen, but still like you have to choose a correct one. So this one we have done. Okay, this is not correct. It should be this one. Accepted merge requests. Accepted. Let's see. You can skip it. Merge this. Here we allowed all branches. We are in timestamp with the console output. This is the build process. This is your test reports part. This is code coverage part, and this is when everything is okay, you will send the this one GitLab merge request status. Okay, add node with accept GitLab merge request. What else is there? Okay, we can also configure this one also, like you can also send the build name. So basically this would be just from there. So let's do one thing. Let's try to push some again. Let me switch my data connection properly. Okay. So the Jenkins is still running its system. Change what is connected. Okay. So now try to push some other change. eDevOpsGuru. Let's do that. Git commit. Git push. Let's see. This has been just triggered. Okay. and is successful. It is just executing. Now if we see here, you will see the complete detail here. This pipeline was triggered by merge request number 1, correct, and this is the your branch name, and this is your source branch name, and this is your target branch name. So if we just go to this particular project, and then you will see all those details here. Let's go to this particular one. So here you see the port coverage, and if you see here, you will see the this build git data also, like what are the branches which have been picked up, and what is the current branch which has been checked out. So since if you see, there are master branches there, and this our feature branch was also there, but this is the build which has been picked up, and this is the commit ID which is being checked out and build now. So in this way you can also see the what has been what change was built in a particular build number. So you see here it is still stuck waiting for a pipeline status. Okay, so now let's see what we can resolve it. System configure. So basically, as a part of today's workshop, we have completed almost 99% thing. So just once this whole this status from Jenkins to GitLab is successful, then you should be able to see that green button. Now, what is the this one? Should we create another token that would help? Let's create token. So this whole CI/CD is basically the it's a GitLab CI/CD. So since we are not using GitLab CI/CD, we are using Jenkins-based pipelines. So nothing needs to be configured here. Let's try this deploy token. Normally this should not work, but let's see. DevOps deploy token expires. It expires next month. Sorry, deploy. Let's see if we can use this one. But, I suspect this will work, but let's see. Jenkins username and password. And this is not a token base, this is more kind of a username and password. So let's use password. Use this one. This one is description. Plus, I think it does not take plus. Add it. change. Okay, so basically this plugin only takes the token only, but this is not valid for them. So what else we can? This will not work. It's not needed. So let's create another token and give more access to it. Generally, this read-only access is sufficient, but it looks like okay. One. Let's give it a complete access for the time being. This for testing purpose. But API, read user, read API, read repository, write repository. Registries we are not using it, but still let's give a shot. Okay, copy it, create new. Reload it. There's PS minus left grep Jenkins. Okay, Jenkins is not working. Java minus Java Jenkins. Sorry. Name of this file is Jenkins.war file. So let's try it, give it a try once again. If it does not work, then probably I will take it up and resolve it and share the status on Slack or comment. Let's create another API token. So it depends, like in most of the cases you will have a API token, so you can use the API token, and you can also use username password. So since we have a username and password, try username and password also is. Let's see, does it work? No, it has to be only API token. It will not take that. So let's use the tokens which we generated here with full access, just for testing purpose. Okay. Okay. Now try to see, does it work? Okay, it works. That means the token which we created earlier, that also needs something else, that some other permission also is needed. So we will come back to it and see if we can resolve that. We should be able to This read repository access is not sufficient. Okay, so okay, never mind. So we will see what should be the minimum list of access for it. I will just let you show. So for the time being, let's do one more check-in, okay, and trigger it and see if Jenkins is able to send notification. DevOpsGuru. Let's update the read-only file itself. Let's duplicate it. Git add readme git commit trigger pipeline git push change to remote DevOpsGuru@gmail.com. Okay, password. Okay, now pipeline. This should trigger a pipeline. Okay, pipeline is already triggered. Okay, see here you should be able to see the commits and comment also. Go and see here. Okay. Okay, so this is the comment which I provided. So here you can also verify what was the commit, what was the commit ID, and what is the source branch. So from logs also you can also verify. Let's see, the pipeline has been successfully executed. Now coming back to the project. Now see merge request has got the status. Is it still searching for? Okay, now you see status has been received and this button has been enabled. So if we just go and see the how GitLab sees this, okay, this pipeline. So this is how it works. So if you see this is the view which GitLab shows. This is the branch. Okay, it queued for 10 seconds and with this much of time. This is the commit which happened, and this is the basically the status which we sent from there. So if you see here, you can see the more details here. It got passed. Okay. So other things are more related to. Okay. So if you just click it here, it will lead you to the DevOps pipeline, which pipeline it executed. Okay. So if we see the status comment here, so this is what we. This is a merge request status, and I think you should be able to see the status which we had sent from there. See, this is the build name. Okay. So if we change this, then this would also get reflected as a part of what was the pipeline detail. Okay. Build is custom message on success and failure. You should be able to see this one. And what else we configured? So if we had given this name, so when this build is running, the same information would have been shown here. But since this pipeline is very fast, so that status you won't be able to see. So here, like you can, if you have a multiple pipelines, you can give multiple text. Okay, to just know like which exact pipeline actually this was triggered. Okay, so This is good. So what was the learning today was the IP address we have to choose correctly, and the permissions of this particular token which we used. Okay, so for now we have given the complete access, but let's see what should be the minimum permissions. Okay, since we cannot modify existing token, so we have to create a new token. So let's create a token 2. Okay, let's say it expires after next week somewhere. So we just see what are the different definition of the scopes. So this API grants complete read-write access to API, including all the groups, projects, the container registry, and package. Okay, read user. Okay, so I think this is what we need. Read API, I think should be okay. Read repository should be okay. Okay. Grant read-write access to repository and private project. So we should not allow GitLab to write repositories. Okay. Okay. Read registry, write registry. This is not since we are not using repositories for containers, so this should not be a issue. Okay. So let's create it. Okay. So this is a token. Now let's see if this token works. So just for testing this token, what we can do, we can just add a credential and see if it works. So let's come here. Oh, sorry. Let's come here and add a new GitLab token. Okay, token name here, just for simplicity, let's do it here. Okay, and save and test prediction. Okay, so this is what is needed. So this is the minimum set of configurations which are needed. So it has to be a read user, read API, and read repository. Okay, so this is the all on what we had for today. So today we have been able to see how merge request is created on GitLab, how merge request triggers a pipeline, and how if a pipeline is successful, only then we allow this merge request to be merged to the main pipeline. So what is left now is how all these things we have done for merging the merge request, but we have not yet merged this merge request. So let's do the final step. Okay, so let's merge it. So now this feature branch will get merged to master branch. Okay, and as a good practice, this source branch, which was a temporary, has been deleted. Okay, so this was all for today. The story which we started today, and then how we achieved that whole story with some little hiccups. Okay, so so that's all for today. Okay, let me stop the recording.